All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jen. I'm the pharmacist for USANA Philippines, and now this is another installment of our webinar series. And for this afternoon, we'll be talking about Pure Rest. This is one of our optimizers here in the Philippine market. In some markets as well, they also have this optimizer. And for this specific optimizer, we would like to empower our body to actually produce better rest, because when we sleep better, there's a tendency that our body would function better, and this is in terms of physical and mental. Fasten your seatbelt. We'll be talking about this thorough presentation, and at the end of my talk, I'll be giving my email address so that you can ask for a copy of the webinar recording as well as the module that we are about to use today. I'd like to thank everyone who is always supporting the webinars, particularly Philippine associates, not only staying those in the Philippines, but also everybody around the world who's joining me today for this webinar. So I'd like to acknowledge those people from Singapore, also from Thailand, and we have also received some invites coming from United Arab Emirates. So thank you for this effort of learning more about the product so that we can make sure that we send the right information and the right learnings, particularly about this. So let's all start. So our optimizer is what we call the Pure Rest. So for some people, Purest may be vague to them, but this is our optimizer that primarily tackles about sleep. And the main ingredient of this product is melatonin. So, by the way, this is an actual presentation prepared by USANA Health and Science Education in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, sleep. Why is it so important? People think that sleep is just a passive state that our body undergoes. Feeling nila rest lang ito. They just think that you stop the world when you sleep. But really, scientifically speaking, sleep is actually a highly active process. This is where our day's experience, activities, and others that we think are processed. And most especially, this is where our energy is actually reboot or rechallenged or recharged. So why is it that sleep is so important, and why do we need it? For some people who are unaware, most studies say that sleep deprivation can lead to high risk of health problems and health diseases. This can range in between your hypertension, this can range from other diseases, and even stroke. And according to Harvard Medical School in 2004, one of their writings said that for people with hypertension, even one night without sleep, this can actually increase the blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate, and significantly can even expose and impose health hazards and can eventually lead to certain strokes for people who are vulnerable. So sleep is so important because not only it affects how we perform, but for those people who have degenerative diseases, sleep has a big impact to delay the progression of diseases. So why are we promoting pure rest? There are some people that even if they eat right, exercise, or minimize stress, but if they don't have good sleeping processes, it can still hinder them to become healthy. So this is an option we give for people to make sure that they really follow good type of sleep, not on a chosen basis, but on a regular basis. So we spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping, and usually they say it's unproductive and all, but the truth is when we sleep, it has a direct role in energy and even on the success of the 2/3 wherein we are awake. And according to Dr. Bert Jacobson from Oklahoma State University, they said that sleep deprivation has an impact physically and can produce negatively in terms of coordination, agility, mood, and energy of the body. So if we cut short sleep and sometimes we don't sleep at all, it can actually create a big problem on the hormonal balances in the body. So before we think yung mga hormones lang is something that regulates our menstruation and related conditions, but ladies and gentlemen, when we lack sleep, there's a blood level of leptin that drops. So leptin, Leptin, is a type of hormone. So we also call this as starvation hormones, and this regulates our weight. So when the leptin is low or when the leptin is decreased, what happens is our metabolisms becomes slower. And usually if the leptin is slower or leptin is lower rather, it can actually send a signal to our brain to eat more. And what happens is when leptin is a bit abnormal in the body, we can store more fat, and sometimes this can actually lead to overeating. And remember, when the leptin level is low, it will increase what we call the ghrelin level. And ghrelin hormones actually activates our satiety and actually can lead us to overeating or increased appetite. So again, sleep is not just crucial for the body to rest. Sleep also has the capacity to control our leptin, our starvation hormone, and also to regulate our ghrelin, our appetite increasing hormones. Of course, for quite some time, we need those to be high or normal, but sometimes when we over increase the leptin and the ghrelin, what happens is this can create obesity and other degenerative diseases that could happen to us. So sleeping is not just for rest. Actually, sleeping has a big effect even in our metabolism, hormonal balance, and even on the reason why we eat a lot or why we want to stay lazy or so forth and so on. So you are not lazy or you don't overeat because you just have an emotional reason. Probably most of the time we overeat because there is an imbalance of our leptin and ghrelin. And how do we correct this? Usually we correct this by correcting the mechanism of our sleep. So when we talk about sleep, there are two main types of sleep. We have what we call the non-rapid eye movement and we have the rapid eye movement. So just to make you understand in layman's term, these types of sleep has an effect physiologically, neurologically, and physiological patterns within the body. So scientifically, when we attain the types of sleep, particularly the NREM and the REM, this can produce different brain waves, and scientists interprets these brain waves to check if we are healthy or not. So when we talk about sleep, right, or when we tackle sleep, there are cycles that we have to consider, and each of these cycles are consist of 4 stages of sleep. So let's go and talk about the different stages of sleep. So of course, when you are awake, so you're awake. So when you try to sleep, you will go to the first part. You will go to the NREM, or this is the 75% of your sleep where you constantly sleep. So your NREM, or your non-rapid eye movement, usually it has 3 stages. So even though we are not a doctor or even though we are not linked with science, I hope we get to understand this, because a deeper understanding of this can help us realize how important sleep is. So let me talk about the stages so that we'll have added knowledge. So with the non-rapid eye movement, stage 1, usually this stage happens when you decide to sleep. So this is the time when you close your eyes. During this stage, which usually lasts from 1 to 10 minutes, you are just lightly sleeping. So definitely, since it's a light sleep, you can easily wake up or you can easily go back to your wake cycle. So what are the features of your stage 1 non-rapid eye movement type of sleep? Usually, this is where you wake up faster, and usually when you wake up right away, it's like you didn't feel like you sleep at all. And usually, in this stage, if you talk about your anatomy, this stage, your body muscles are not inhibited yet. So your eyes roll a little bit, and it might be slightly open to your eyelids. So usually, on the first stage of non-rapid eye movement, your breathing slows down and your heartbeat becomes regular. There's also some studies that show that during the first stage of the non-rapid eye movement, your blood pressure and brain temperature decreases. So there is a tendency of being relaxed. And the problem with some people who have irregular sleeping patterns is they don't have this stage 1 stabilized. So what usually happens is they easily wake up and they feel unrested at all. So usually for some people, we all attain this, and after we have attained the NREM1, we go to the next stage. So the NREM stage 2, so usually this is a deeper one. This is when it happens that after the stage 1, your sleep will be around 20 minutes. And this is characterized by a slowdown of your heart rate and a decrease of your body temperature. So definitely on the stage 2 of the non-rapid eye movement, this is where you are harder to wake up, and this is where your brain would emit or would show larger waves, all right? And in this part, when you attain your non-rapid eye movement stage 2, your blood pressure and heart rate is decreased, and your metabolic function slows down too. So this is also the reason why we tell you not to sleep or not to eat before sleeping. Because most definitely, what you need in order to digest your food is metabolism, right? So once you eat and then you sleep right away, once you reach your NREM stage 2, the tendency is you will have a harder time to actually metabolize any food that you eat. And the thing here is that as your blood pressure and heart rate decreases, all right, we assume that the body is really on the resting stage. So how could it digest the food if your body is on a resting stage? So usually, we spend most of our nights in the stage 2 or the non-rapid eye movement stage 2. So after the 20 minutes of the stage 2, we now go to the slow wave or the deepest and the most restorative sleep. There are some studies that those who work graveyard shift or those who work on an irregular time, they are not really reaching the stage 3 or the non-rapid eye movement stage 3. But this is actually the most important. This is usually a 35 to 45 minutes of falling asleep, and this is where your brain waves are slowed down, and usually this is where your good sleep happens. In the stage 3, this is where usually your dreams happen. Yeah, so your nightmares or usually some of your sleeping issues happens, and it's actually very important that you reach this stage. At this point, when you sleep through this time, there will be potential sleep disturbances, and these disturbances wouldn't affect you. So ito na yung mga type ng tulog na kahit maingay, hindi ka maapektuhan kasi tulog na tulog ka. And if you know actually during this stage, there's the big chance that you're going to be disoriented the first few minutes pag bigla kang nagising. So, ito yung stage ng sleep wherein we tell people na, I don't know if you're aware, di ba sabi nga nila, lokohin mo na ang lasing, wag lang ang bagong gising. It is because if you are awakened on the stage 3, this is where you are disoriented, and since you are disoriented, you will become very, very irritated that you might do bad things to people who woke you up unlikely on this time. So this is so important that you reach in terms of sleep cycle, because this is where your muscles will be relaxed. This is where your blood supply to the muscle is increased so that they will remain oxygenated. And this is where we peakly reach energy so that we can store more energy, and we are likely to be energized when we woke up. And other than that, this is where also the hormones are released for better effect. So in between sleep, after this non-rapid eye movement, stage 1, 2, 3, we now go to the rapid eye movement. So this is actually the final stage of your sleep cycle, and usually a sleep cycle happens at 90 minutes. So when you sleep, like for example, 3 hours or 4 hours, there's a specific cycle. So you return to stage 1, 2, 3, and then REM, and then you return again, and you really have to make sure that you attain these types of sleeping cycles so that you can make your body more healthier. So in the case of rapid eye movement, which is 25% of your sleep cycle, this is a stage where it lasts for 10 minutes usually, and it happens after you have been asleep for 90 minutes. So what are the features of this particular part of sleep? This is where your eyes continually move, kaya po tawag siya rapid eye movement. And this is actually one of the deepest and the most powerful dreams occurring part of sleep. So usually there are some people who do the sleepwalking or bedwetting. This is where it happens naturally. So this stage also is characterized by increased heart rate and palpitations, primarily because of your dream. So it's so important that you also reach the REM, because this is where you provide energy to your brain and your body. At the same time, your rapid eye movement is dependent on your performance on a daytime basis when you are awake. And at the same time, this is also where your brain, your eyes, and body becomes functionable when you wake up, when you reach or when you attain this peak type of sleeping. So usually, at some time, people think that REM is not good or dreaming is not good, but it's a part of sleeping, all right? You generally need to reach the REM to be healthy. So it's not bad that you dream. It's not also bad when you don't have a dream. But the key thing here is to attain good sleep, you have to make sure that you go on the cycles of sleep, which starts with your non-rapid eye movement, which has 3 stages, and your rapid eye movement. So in summary, in healthy adults, sleep starts with non-rapid eye movement. So the stage 1 is around 1 to 7 minutes. The stage 2 is around 20 to 25 minutes. And then the stage 3 is around 20 to 40 minutes. And then 10 minutes after that, that's where you do the REM or the rapid eye movement. So you need to make sure to actually attain these types of sleep because this will produce better rest in the body. And sad thing, there are some people that since they don't have the necessary hormones to produce sleep, they don't attain this. Usually they get stuck in stage 1. And that's where most diseases actually happen or most diseases actually is developed. So NREM and REM continue to alternate during your sleep cycles. And these cycles, when they are attained, all right, this actually leads to optimized mental and physical recuperation. So, like for example, in case of comatose, ba't ba sila natutulog na lang ng natutulog? It's because this is the mechanism of the body to regain itself, to recover itself. And usually when we have like simple colds and flu, why do we feel sleepy? Not because we're dizzy, but most of the time, this is the brain's mechanism to actually adjust and to recover itself. And not only that, your sleep cycle has a big impact to make sure that your heart and cardiovascular health is well managed. So there are some questions or there are some concerns, like for example, they ask, in which stage of sleep do we usually feel the dream? So usually we feel the dream or dreams occur during your REM. But usually, there are some people who don't really experience the REM. So if those things happen, just make sure you need to correct or give your body the right type of sleep. So we dream, usually in some studies, in any stage of sleep, but most of the time it happens in the REM. So there are some people who ask, so what initiates sleep? Ladies and gentlemen, actually, what initiates sleep is darkness. That's why sometimes I'm really puzzled with people who are able to sleep when the light is on. Generally, darkness is needed to relax the brain, to make sure that the brain slows down and the brain waves are lessened. And we need darkness in terms of making our body capable of sleeping. So it is said that the bodies are trained on a 24-hour cycle, and we have to take advantage of the daylight and the night light that we call. So our body is also dictated by the day and the night cycles, and once there is an imbalance, it can actually lead to problems in the blood pressure and the other. So based on studies, blood pressure and body temperature are increased in the morning and decreased in the night. So just imagine if you are breaking these bodily functions or your normal circadian rhythm or your day and night cycle, you can actually cause problem in your cardiovascular health and even in your body function. So what helps us produce good sleep? Actually, what helps us produce good sleep is what you call your melatonin. Melatonin is not just a simple supplement. Originally, melatonin is a hormone that is created by your pineal gland. This is near your hypothalamus. And your pineal gland has to release this type of hormone to initiate sleep. So when we were a baby, we actually have very, very high levels of melatonin release, which enables us to restore, recover, and regenerate. So melatonin is responsible in our waking cycle and sleeping cycle. And not only that, your melatonin being a hormone is also something that fights against free radicals. So if you would check your brain, your melatonin is so important because like what I said, this is released by your pineal gland. And what stimulates your pineal gland is darkness. Once there is a presence of light, it will inhibit, right? It will stop the stimulation of your pineal gland to release what you call your melatonin. So it's very, very hard to actually stay awake when there is a very high level of lighting, because it will stop your retinohypothalamic tract from producing what you call your pineal gland, or something that produces melatonin. So, truth be told, that light inhibits melatonin production. And again, with our present time that we text every time, lalo na po ngayon, nauso na yung mga Pokemon Go, kaysa matulog tayo, talaga namang nakabukas ang mga cellphone, in the attempt of like that, it greatly affects our sleep cycle. That's why there's a lot of scientists who would suggest that as much as possible, there should not be any television on the room or the bedroom or even laptop. So again, most of the diseases like hypertension, diabetes, it may not be just because of diet. Sometimes it's greatly affected as well by our sleep cycle. So just a sleep trivia. So based on some questions, okay, so what is the percentage of Americans that change their sheet every 2 weeks? Okay, so typically kasi what is the importance, or what is the things needed for you to have a better sleep? Dapat kailangan you have a comfortable bed, right? So based on studies, 91% of Americans change their sheets or bed sheets every 2 weeks, and it can only imply that sometimes if your beddings are not really comfortable, you will really find it hard to sleep. So in the Philippines, probably because of the culture, we are very hygienic as well. So we change the sheets at least once or twice a month. So there are some studies that also show that the dimming of the light of the room also is important to make sure that you sleep well. So if you have kids, you want to make sure they sleep well at night, you have to make sure they have a very well regulated lighting in their room. So question, how does lack of sleep or poor sleep quality affect your body? So not only that it can affect cardiovascularly, it's also a proof that sleep plays an important role in the immune health. A lot of hormones are signaled, a lot of hormones are regulated, and a lot of bodily processes are restarted or recharged by sleep. And your immune cells, such as the one in your innate and adaptive immune system, in order for them to function well, they need good sleep. That's why it's very common that melatonin supplements now are given, whether you have degenerative diseases or not. You want to make sure you have better sleep. You have to make sure you have a lot of melatonin in your body to facilitate sleep. So it is said that poor sleep decreases the immune response. And it is said that mammals who have higher immune response are those who sleep the most. And those who we call the night shifters or the all-nighters, they have the tendency to have decreased immune function, and most of the time they are prone to cases of colds, flu, or simple upper respiratory tract infection. And other than that, there's also a lot of studies that getting little sleep is also associated with weight increase or increase of weight. So I guess we were able to discuss this a while ago, that when you lack sleep, you decrease your leptin hormone, which increases your starvation mode. And not only that, it also increases your ghrelin, which makes you feel like eating every now and then. So the feeling of hungry may not be an emotional issue, but it could be a sleep issue. So itulog na lang po natin yan palagi. Alright? So another thing is that there are some people that they function better when they are sleeping better. So operating on little sleep results to less focused thoughts and slower reaction times. And not only that, it's a highly concern for everyone. There are around 5,000 to 6,000 fatal crashes each year, which is caused by drowsy drivers or people who doesn't sleep. And if you would track down history, Di ba, we had a Chernobyl nuclear explosion in Ukraine. So if you would read the biography about this, or you would read some studies about this, it is said that this Ukraine explosion is actually described as the world's worst nuclear disease, or I mean disaster rather. So sabi nila, during this time, people who have been working in this nuclear plant has been overworked for more than 13 hours. So nearly 240 people were diagnosed of radiation poisoning. And based on the World Health Organization, they said that in reality, the actual number of deaths caused by this accident is unlikely ever to be precisely known. And again, we will rule out our body. We are not a machine. We are prone to error. And what is the best thing for us to recover from error or prevent error? That's actually better sleep. So, if you would also study in 1988, kasi medyo mahilig ako sa NASA, sa mga spaceship and all, one of the very crucial na space aviation accident happened in 1988 was the Challenger explosion. And the release of the spaceship was around 1 in the morning. And in the attempt of the NASA scientists to make sure that the flying of the spaceship occurs, they had rarely a good number of sleep. Sabi pa nga dito, certain managers involved in the launch only had 2 hours of sleep before arriving to work at 1 a.m. And this caused killing of 7 all-new crews of this particular spaceship. And sabi nga po ng NASA, the willingness of NASA employees in general to work in excessive hours were admirable. But it raised a serious question wherein baka yung puyat nila jeopardize the job and primarily cause the death of a lot of people. So there's a lot of accidents, not just simple car accidents that happen because of lack of sleep. And in relation to this one, last example that I'd like to address is most of the plane crashes may not be an issue of a flight problem, but there was one case in June 1, 1999, the American Airlines in 1420, or the American Airlines flight 1420. What happened to this one is they overshoot the runway. And one of the key things they see is, aside from the thunderstorms, there was impaired performance due to fatigue. And again, usually most of the fatigue, they all starts from where? They all starts from lack of sleep. So these are simple things we really know, but some people wants to experience the tragedy first before they understand. And in USANA, we wouldn't want that. We want to make sure that we learn from others' experiences and we put our health on the highest level or highest priority. So other than that, again, sleep is essential for a healthy heart. For some people, again, let me remind you, poor sleep quality is linked to increased risk of high blood pressure, and this can cause heart attack. Not a heart attack doesn't happen in an instant, in overnight. Usually, this is a result of a lifelong error, aside from your eating habits as well from your lack of supplementation, but most importantly, lack of better sleep. And of course, for those who are married, you have to understand that lack of sleep also kills your sex drive. Based on studies, lack of sleep for men lowers your testosterone level, where then it lessens your libido. For women, it's a negative effect, or it produces a negative effect on your vaginal lubrication. And chronically, if you really don't sleep well, it has a great effect on the erectile function. So sleep has a lot of bodily process that we really have to prioritize. So just a sleep trivia, how many Americans don't use their bedroom curtains and shades? So there, of course, in the Philippines, it may not be applicable that we always use the cortina, but these are designed, curtains are designed to actually produce darkness so that we can sleep better. In the US, they don't use, 35% of them don't use their bedroom curtain. So it can have a big impact in sleep. There are some people who may be well off. They sometimes provide soundproof roofing and soundproof interiors in their house, because again, it has a great effect in producing better sleep. So the question is, how much sleep do we need every day? So ideally, the recommendation is at least 6 to 7 hours. So more or less, you need to have around 4 to 5 sleep cycles of your non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement. So as you were younger, you would need higher levels of sleep, and then as you get older, at least you maintain the 7 to 8 hours, or at least not lesser than 6 hours. So as you get old, don't be sad if sometimes after 5 hours you wake up right away. It's because your pineal gland has a tendency to produce lesser melatonin. So that's why if you think that you don't get sufficient sleep, you just supplement additional melatonin so that you can get your restful sleep. So what are the sleeping tips that we'd like to give to everyone? Of course, number one, in sleeping, same thing, your brain mechanism has a schedule. So you really have to have a sleep schedule. Exercise is a great help in making sure that our hormones are well balanced. And usually before sleeping, make sure that you don't take your caffeine. Another thing is you have to make sure that you relax first before sleeping and wind down before bedtime. And usually what is a requirement of a better sleep? Your room should be cool, dark, quiet, and distraction-free. So take away your television, your computer. Ako personally, what I do is I charge my phone before I sleep away from me, or I keep my phone away from me. Like, kailangan ko pang maglakad bago ko puntahan yung phone ko just to make sure that I'm not distracted when I sleep. Another thing is sleep on a very comfortable bed and pillows, preferably something on your back. And of course, make sure you manage your light. The darker, the better. Intake of alcohol, cigarettes, heavy metals, and high amounts of water may hinder sleep, so you just make sure to take them moderately. And if you can't sleep, go to another room until you can wind down or hanggang maantok ka. And then, of course, in some cases, use melatonin to promote natural sleep cycles. So just a sleep trivia, how many Americans use sound conditioner or white noise in their bedroom? So based on studies, it's 5%. So how many Americans have at least one caffeinated beverages a day? At least 78%. So again, there's nothing wrong with drinking coffee. What we are trying to tell you here is that when you drink coffee, at least you don't take it before bedtime. Please take it like in the morning when your melatonin is low, wherein you have to be awake or your wakeful cycle should be high. So another thing is 10 tips. I've already mentioned this a while ago, but again, you have to take track of this thing so that you can sleep better. So what again is melatonin? Melatonin is something that helps control our sleep cycle and wakefulness cycle. So small amount of melatonins naturally come from food, and supplementing specific, we need at least 0.5 to 5 milligram of this on the blood level to make sure that we get the sufficient melatonin. Again, what makes Pure Rest or USANA's melatonin again different from the others? Our melatonin is bioavailable enough that it gets into the blood levels, and once it gets into the blood levels, there's a higher chances of us to really absorb the melatonin so that we can feel the effect. So where do we use melatonin? Usually, we use melatonin to promote sleep cycle and to help people, particularly in those who work in graveyard shifts or those who suffer from jet lag. So in case of jet lag, studies show that people who use melatonin during their flights while they try or attempt to sleep has lesser feeling of jet lag and require lesser number of days to go back to normal sleep. And people who took melatonin during their flights, especially the long flights, okay, what I'm talking about is those who are flying like 6 hours and above, usually they feel less tired and more energetic throughout the day. So again, you can never trick your brain. What you need to provide in order for you to gain energy is actually not sugar, but something that produces rest, and that is sleep. And that is provided by your melatonin. So why melatonin? Again, melatonin helps you fall asleep faster, and the melatonin increases your sleep time. And not only that, overall, melatonin, since it's not new to your brain. This is like something that your brain has been producing, but you're just supplementing. Overall, produces good quality of sleep. So supplementing melatonin support better sleep, and usually what we advise is that when you take your Purest, you take it at least 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. The time when you are comfortable enough so that you can attain your stages of sleep from non-REM to your rapid eye movement stages. So this is our Purest. Each tablet of Purest contains 2 milligram of melatonin. Primarily, what makes the Purest different from the others is that since it has melatonin, it supports natural sleep cycles and sleep processes. Not only that, since Purest is not habit-forming, you only take it when you need it. So you will not suffer the side effects unlike those sleep aids that has been sold in the market. It's fast acting because it's in a chewable form, so you have a higher tendency of sleeping faster. It's customizable in terms of dosage, so you can take a half or one or two on a maximum. And again, as much as possible, it will just trigger your brain to produce melatonin so that you can sleep better. And since it's sugar-free, it's generally safe even for people who suffer from diabetes, or most especially people who have degenerative diseases. So again, like what I told you a while ago, this is 2 milligrams of melatonin per tablet, and this is orange flavored, sugar free. So in terms of the dosage, for you to be aware, you can take as low as 1/2. So that's why if you could check on the tablet, there is a cut, or we call it a score. This score is where you cut so that at least you take a half of the tablet. So you have the liberty to take 1/2 up to 1 or 2 tablets a day. So, Ma'am Jen, what if I wanted more? So, you will just urinate it. So, your body has only a limit of how many it will take. So, what I would suggest is you just take within the allowable dosage. So, again, you take it 30 to 60 minutes before sleeping. And for the cases of insomnia or other related sleep problems, you really have to consult first with your physician. Usually, in cases of insomnia, we may need to give you certain medications to correct that condition, but just to relax you or just to help you sleep naturally, you may talk to your doctor about the option of using this. Generally, our Purest is beneficial for elderly, for people who are in graveyard shift, or for people who just want to have a restful sleep, particularly those people who are recuperating from certain operations, surgeries, and diseases. For sure, they need restoration, and something that can help them naturally to restore their health is better sleep. So Purest is available in the Philippines, and because we're USANA, what makes USANA different from the others is that we manufacture all our products, not only Purest, in the highest state possible. Again, a lot of people would ask us, why would you work this hard? You are just a supplement company. But then again, that makes USANA different. USANA is founded by a scientist, Dr. Myron Wentz, and he wants to make sure that everything has quality, efficiency, efficacy, and not only that, he even placed his name on the name of each bottle to make sure that when you take USANA, you are taking the best supplement. And not only that we have the highest state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, we also boast of these 6 things that makes USANA different from the others. We value potency. When we say that this is the contents of the bottle, this is what we really deliver. In terms of the quality, there's a lot of third-party testing that we do to make sure that the products maintain the best quality, and the concentrations are correct in terms of strength and even on the composition. And not only that, in terms of making sure that the ingredients are we make sure we put the right identity. And all our products and ingredients are free from impurities and other contaminants. So we adhere in good manufacturing practice. So again, if you have doubts, even though we are not a drug company, our facility is an FDA drug establishment, making sure that from pre-manufacturing to post-manufacturing, we are using the best processes in terms of making our product. And USANA is a member of the United Natural Product Alliance. This is an association of different dietary supplements and food functional products, and we adhere to make sure that we get the best quality, benefit, and reliability to any of our product. So Pure is just one of the best optimizers we have in the Philippines, and a greater knowledge about this will give us a better understanding why we need to share this better to our friends. It doesn't have to be that you're sick. If you just want to make sure you have better sleep, then this is a good product for you to take or to add to your cart. But most especially, please reach out people who have degenerative diseases. They may be taking the best medications, the best supplementations, but if they lack better sleep, then they may not get the equation of getting better or getting well. So I hope that we learned a lot about this one and we understand this fully. It's because PureRest has been very, very efficient in terms of providing us a better means to actually get or acquire sleep. So if you happen to have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. My name is Jen .blasurca@ph.usana.com, or my name is Jen Blasurca to be very exact. I am the pharmacist for USANA Philippines, and by sending an email, all right, through the link that I gave you, or through the presentation I gave you, I can give you a copy of the recording as well as answer your questions so that you can learn more about USANA. So we'll be having again a scheduled webinar 2 weeks from now, and I hope that you will join me again together with your downlines and together with your teammates. And it's my honor to actually present to you USANA, and I hope we had a learning field afternoon, and thank you for your continual support for our webinars. So I'll be showing now, I'll be reading now certain questions so that we can address or we can review better the products that, or I mean, we can answer certain questions which put in, or I mean, answer certain questions which you have been thinking about PureRest. So, first question is, if we keep on taking PureRest, magiging dependent ba sa katawan natin? So, again, like we discussed, this is not a habit-forming supplementation. So, again, you just take it when you need it. It will just initiate your brain to produce more melatonin and add more melatonin in the system. So once you feel like you are sleeping regularly, you can stop taking it or just take a little bit of it, just making sure that you have a normal melatonin level in the body. This is not like sleeping pills that you would ask for more in order for you to sleep better. So you have to make sure that you just take it correctly and you sleep on the right time so that you will have better and continuous effect. So let's answer some more.